70% of digital transformation initiatives fail to meet their intended outcomes. That's not a projection. According to recent research from McKinsey in 2026, 7 out of 10 organizations that invest millions into cloud migration, AI adoption, and enterprise modernization projects watch them flatline. The money gets spent, the consultants get paid, the technology gets implemented, and yet the business moves no faster. Your competitors are in the same boat. The difference between thriving and drowning isn't the technology anymore. It's understanding why transformation fails before it starts. You've seen this story before. The board approves a $50 million digital transformation budget. Your CTO brings in a marquee consulting firm. They map out a beautiful 18-month roadmap with cloud infrastructure, microservices, real-time data pipelines. The works. 12 months in, your teams are still negotiating legacy system dependencies. Your data still lives in 17 different systems, none of which talk to each other. Your finance team is manually reconciling spreadsheets at midnight. Meanwhile, a startup with 1/10 of your budget just moved their entire operation to cloud-native architecture in 8 weeks and is now outpacing you in market responsiveness. The brutal truth is this: most organizations don't fail at digital transformation because the technology is bad. They fail because they're trying to transform their business using yesterday's operating model. You're pouring modern technology into structures, incentives, and decision-making frameworks designed for 1995. You can't modernize your systems without modernizing your people, your governance, and your organizational muscle memory. That's the conversation no one wants to have with the board. And that's exactly why most transformations die. In the next 10 minutes, we're going to break down the 3 non-technical reasons your digital transformation is stalling, or will stall. This isn't theory. This is what we're seeing across boardrooms in Singapore, Mumbai, Sydney, and across the Asia-Pacific region right now. We're going to show you the diagnostic framework that reveals which of these 3 failure modes is killing your initiative before you invest another dollar. And we're going to walk through how a regional bank in Southeast Asia reframed their transformation around these principles and turned a stalled $40 million project into a market-defining competitive advantage. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where your organization is vulnerable, what questions to ask your leadership team on Monday morning, and why the next wave of winners won't be the ones with the best technology. They'll be the ones who transformed first. Point 1. Organizational inertia masquerading as risk management. Here's what's actually happening. Your organization says it wants to move fast. Your CEO talks about agility in town halls. But your decision-making structure, your change control boards, your compliance frameworks, and your approval workflows were built to minimize risk, not enable speed. They're working exactly as designed. The problem is that design is now your constraint. According to a 2026 Gartner study, organizations cite governance and organizational structure as barriers to transformation success in 63% of cases, ahead of technology skills or budget constraints. Let that sink in. It's not that you can't afford it. It's not that you don't have the technical talent. It's that your organization is structurally incapable of moving at the pace transformation requires. Here's a concrete example. A Tier 1 telecommunications company in Singapore, we'll call them Telco Singapore, launched a cloud migration 5 years ago. They had the budget, they had the vendors, they had the architecture. But any change to production systems required sign-off from 6 different committees. A database configuration change that would take 45 minutes to implement required 6 weeks of approvals. By month 9, their transformation team had completed approximately 12% of their migration roadmap. The problem wasn't the cloud. The problem was that their governance structure was still operating under the assumption that all change is dangerous and therefore must be constrained. How do you apply this? Start here. Audit your change approval process for a representative cloud migration or modernization workload. Time it. Count the handoffs. Count the committees. Count the reviews. If your approval process for that change is longer than the actual implementation, you've found your problem. Now, here's the hard part. You can't just remove controls. You need to recalibrate them. Fast-moving organizations don't have fewer controls. They have smarter controls. They push control closer to the people doing the work. They automate compliance verification. They make rollback faster than approval. But that requires a conscious redesign, not just a rhetoric shift. Point 2. Talent and incentive misalignment. This is where the real pain lives. Most digital transformations fail not because the vision is wrong, but because the people who need to execute it are still being measured and compensated for behavior that blocks transformation. Think about your enterprise architect. For 20 years, their job was to say no. Their reputation was built on building systems that are reliable, stable, and highly controlled. Now you're asking them to champion cloud-native, event-driven, loosely coupled architectures where some degree of operational chaos is acceptable in exchange for speed. You're asking them to think differently, but you're still evaluating their performance the same way you always have. Their bonus is still tied to system uptime and incident reduction, not to delivery speed or business outcome acceleration. What do you think they're going to optimize for? We worked with a retail organization in India, a major player in their market, that was trying to build real-time inventory visibility across their entire supply chain. The technical architecture was sound, but the regional inventory managers had operated for decades with a simple model. Order safe, carry excess stock, minimize stockouts. Their bonus was based on incident-free operations. Real-time inventory meant higher inventory turns, lower carrying costs, and significantly more variability in daily operations. From a system design perspective, it was exactly what the business needed. From an individual incentive perspective, it threatened the bonus structure of the people who controlled the data entry and forecasting workflows. So they quietly sandbagged the implementation for 18 months. Here's what changed. The organization didn't change the technology. They changed the compensation model. They tied regional bonuses to inventory velocity and cash flow optimization, not to incident count. Within 90 days, the same inventory managers became the most vocal champions of the real-time system. The system hadn't changed. The incentives had. What does this mean for you? Map your transformation roadmap against your incentive structure. Where is there misalignment? Where are you asking people to prioritize transformation when their paycheck is tied to the status quo? That's your pressure point. And here's what most organizations get wrong. They think this is an HR problem. It's not. It's a strategy problem. Your incentive structure is a statement of what your organization actually cares about, not what it says it cares about. Point 3. Technology selection driven by vendor narrative, not business outcome. This one is deceptively simple, and it kills transformations at scale. Most organizations don't ask themselves, what business problem are we solving? They ask themselves, what is everyone else buying? If Gartner puts it in the magic quadrant. If your peer organizations are buying it. If the vendor has strong analyst relations. then it must be right. And so you end up with enterprise software portfolios that are technically sophisticated and organizationally misaligned. According to IDC research from 2026, 42% of cloud and modernization projects experience significant delays or scope reduction due to misalignment between the selected platform and actual operational requirements. In simpler terms, they bought the wrong thing, or bought the right thing for the wrong reason, or bought it before they understood the problem. Here's a real case. A financial services organization across the Asia-Pacific region wanted to modernize their core banking system. They were under competitive pressure from fintech upstarts. Their technology was aging. Their time to market for new products was measured in quarters instead of weeks. They ran a very professional RFP process. 3 major vendors competed. One vendor won decisively on feature count and analyst reputation. Implementation started. 2 years in, they realized that the vendor's architecture assumed a business model where you have a single, unified banking ledger. This organization, due to regional regulation and historical acquisitions, operated 17 different ledger systems. The vendor's platform could theoretically handle this, but the architectural approach meant that every transaction across regions required synchronous database coordination. This made the system slower than the legacy system it was replacing. The real problem hadn't. Thanks for listening. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to Apex Minds D4J for more powerful insights. See you in the next one.